And he's on his porch too. Look at him. He looks like a picture of a rooster too, just sitting there. I'm sorry. Hey everybody, I'm Ashley and you're Kicking with Ash. Before we get started, I have to put this warning out there. I am at my friend's house. She has a lovely array of friends out here and you may hear one or two. There you go. So today we're going to be talking about housing, specifically roommates. I wanted to talk about this one with my old roommate, because I wanted to get her perspective as well as mine. So a little bit about my background. I first started housing when I was at Southern. It was a dormitory. So imagine 8 girls sharing one bathroom. And then, then when I moved on to University of New Orleans, I went from 8 people to 4 people, not too bad. And then I became an RA. And then once I became an RA, I didn't have to share a room. It was for me, and then I got to pick my suite mate. But then when I got to Augusta, we moved into apartment style housing, which is perfectly fine. And this is where I met Kim, one of my first roommates in Augusta. And so I wanted to talk to her and get her perspective on housing, roommates specifically, as you can tell, black and white, and just get that perspective, because I know a lot of you guys don't really realize in housing, some of them have an algorithm to figure out who your roommate's going to be, and then some of them just look at your name, unfortunately, kind of have a bias on what you may be, black or white, and then kind of match you on that. I would definitely tell you this: every time I've been assigned roommates, I've always had a white roommate, and I think it's just because of my name alone will throw anybody off. But the thing about me is I was always up for whoever was my roommate. I never had a preference. I think part of that was the independence in me, and part of it was I never had a friend that went along the college journey with me. So I always was a surprise in terms of who my roommates were, but I was always open to who the roommate was going to be. Now, let's talk a little bit about Augusta and how Kim got into this. So as a lot of you know, I am a Hurricane Katrina baby. So when I left University of New Orleans and decided to go to Augusta, at that time, housing was already filled. They had a few spots left, and I was there with my cousin. And so the property manager was like, well, we have 2 girls that's already in there. They're living on one side, and you and your cousin can live on the other side. And of course, they asked me, Ashley, do you have any issues because they are white? And I'm like, no, that's fine. I've already lived with a white person before. I'm accustomed to that. So it didn't faze me none. But the question in my head has always been, will they be receptive of me? Or will they be receptive of my cousin? I didn't care about everybody else more so than me, but because my cousin was there in the house, I wanted to make sure that we both were comfortable, but I also wanted to make sure the ladies were comfortable. So the 2 ladies that we got introduced was Kara and Kim. And so I have Kim today, and she's gonna do me a great favor and just answer some questions from her perspective, so that way we have a better idea of just really how people are thinking about things. But at the end of the day, we hope that you take this information, just open your mind a little bit more of the possibilities of what you can find having different roommates, because even though we're different, this is 15 years and we're still hanging in there. Okay, so let's get with the questions. Everybody, this is Kim.
So I've already got some questions.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, because you said some stuff that I didn't know.
Okay.
So do you know if at Augusta, if they had an algorithm or if they just put people in apartments? Because
right. So yes, at Augusta State, when they first built the property, they didn't really have an algorithm of sorts. And the only reason why I know that is because once I became a professional and I was in charge of first year experience, I had to help put my students in housing. And it was tricky, because if you're just going based off of names and that's it, I mean, you can go based off the application. The application does kind of tell you the race. But me as an employee, but me as a person, I care about race, but I don't. Meaning, if you're with me, race should not matter. It should not be a part of the equation. It really should be the character of the person. So when I was looking at my students, I was always remembering when I met them who they were, their personality, and I kind of matched them in that way. But then it did get tricky, because some students are introverts, some students just don't say nothing, and so that's where it got a little tricky. But I also told my students, if you wanted to move, if you don't feel comfortable, talk to us. But once housing is filled, it gets tricky to move people around.
My next question is, they really asked you if you were okay living with 2 white girls?
They did. And part of it was because of the fact, I think, you got to remember, I'm already dealing with a trauma right there. And so it's like, do you want to add possible additional trauma? And I don't want to say that in the meanest way, but we already know in this world, in our society.
I'm traumatized, you. I know.
We know in this society how people feel about things. And Jennifer, at that time, apartment manager was white. And so I get it. And I had no problem with it.
So I wonder how they matched me, because my first apartment that I lived in, I was with 3 black girls. And then my second apartment, I was with 2.
Right.
But I actually never lived, of course. I wasn't in the first one very long, was that? But that was not my choice. Right. So anyway, that's just interesting to me. Like, I must have been putting off some vibes, I guess.
So Kim, let me go ahead and ask them. When they matched you guys, what was your intentions for college versus theirs? Meaning, like, was college your focal when you first moved in versus theirs? Because
they were definitely more focused on college academically than I was. I was definitely more focused on the college experience. Now, I did college. I did well. I went to classes, and all like that. But I made sure to leave room for the college experience as well.
And you guys, sometimes it can be tricky. A lot of students do go to college for their experience, and that's perfectly fine. And then a lot of us go to school for the academic side. So it gets tricky when you're picking roommates, because one could be a night owl and one could be an early morning person. And so unfortunately, Kim was the partier. And
unfortunately,
no, I mean, it was a good thing, because when she came to me, you guys, you got to remember, when Kim left them, and then she moved into her own apartment, and then when we moved in, I was a seasoned college student. So for me, Kim wanting to have fun on top of her college experience did not bother me none, because I already knew how to move in terms of college. This was a brand new experience for Kim. I'm not gonna rain on her parade. I'm gonna let her have her fun. I'm gonna join in, but then I also knew when to pull back, right? So when it comes to freshman year, it's tricky, because you're either 100% let's go to school, or you could be 100% let's have some fun, right?
Or you'd be right in the middle.
You could be right in the middle. And it depends on the person, right? Another question. I know Kim's background, but Kim, did you ever feel uncomfortable, no matter if it was those 3 girls or us, living in the house once you realized the race,
that you were black?
Yes.
Well, I realized that pretty quickly. And I would say no. If there was ever any uncomfortableness, it had nothing to do with that.
Right.
But I don't remember. I mean, there's uncomfortableness with any roommate, no matter who, because it's just hard to have a roommate. Right. It's definitely hard to have more than one roommate, or 3 roommates that you don't know, never met them. Right. So things come up. You have to learn how to live together. But I don't think race ever played a part.
And I would definitely say that in our house, we were always open to one another in terms of questioning. And when I say questions, we're talking about just understanding.
Cultural questions.
Yeah, cultural questions. Just understanding how Kim and Kara move versus how I move and my cousin.
And even Kara and I, both being white, had totally different backgrounds.
Right, living opposite side of Atlanta.
And had a different past, a different path. So
at the end of the day, you guys, it really does not come down to color. It really just comes down to you being open to the people that you're living with, to be quite honest. Because you can make the best out of the situation, or it can be the worst semester or year of your life until you feel like you need to move. One takeaway I want to give all you guys, especially the people of color, don't be not even intimidated, but don't be scared to take on that challenge, take on that experience. You just never know. Yes, sometimes it's a miss, but sometimes you will have the greatest experience living with people that are completely opposite than you, because you're allowing yourself to learn more, grow, and adapt as well. Because at the end of the day, we are who we are, and I think it's just time for everybody just to grow and just get on, not necessarily get along, but try to respect each other and understand each other. If you understand, then give that respect. And then if you are confused and lost, stop and just say, hey, can we have a conversation? A lot of things can be eliminated in housing and be in roommates if you just stop to have the question. Not stop to have the question, but stop to ask the question, to have the conversation.
And I don't think that goes with just black or white.
No.
I mean, there's so many different, that's for any culture that's
Correct.
different than yours.
Correct.
And I'll also throw in, I mean, you can learn a lot of things about somebody else's culture that you might not know. I mean, there's a lot of, like we talked about yesterday, there's a lot of stereotypes about, you know, certain cultures. And, you know, some people might not know that those things aren't exactly true, or, you know, you might learn how to cook totally different food, or, you know, or you might see all of that stuff and want nothing to do with their culture, but that doesn't mean that you don't respect them. So that's where I think respect is probably, you know what I mean? It's like, we're different and I respect that. I respect your culture, you respect mine. And
the biggest thing, I think, if you want to think of it in long terms, this is preparing you for when you decide to get married or live with somebody completely different. Having a roommate really opens your eyes to, oh, this is how I am, this is how you are. How are we going to make this work, right? That's where all this comes in. College, housing, a lot of things that you need in your life, you learn in those moments, in those times. I'm not going to lie. I wouldn't know how to talk to a lot of people if I did not live in housing, especially the dorms. When I had to share a room with somebody that's not my family, that's a whole nother ball game, y'all. But then also sharing a house with people that are not your family, you just got to learn how to adjust. You learn, okay, I don't want to live with people. I'm going to live by myself. You're going to learn your do's and your don'ts. You're going to learn so much. But the biggest thing is respect one another and just be open to the possibilities, because you just never know. You could be meeting your future best friend, your future husband. Just give it a chance, okay? Kim, is there anything else you would like to add?
I don't think so.
Okay. You guys?
No, I have a question.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier, you said, especially for people of color, don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone. Do you think it's harder for people of color to step out of that comfort zone? Or, because I feel like it would be the other way around, but maybe that's just because I'm white. And because I know white people, and you know what I mean?
Right. I think it depends on the person of color. For me in particular, I had the opportunity to be raised around everybody, so I never really had an issue of being around all races. My mom and my dad, though, they grew up in New Orleans, Louisiana. They went to schools completely all black, middle school, elementary, high school. So for them, that was very normal for them. But for me, being totally opposite and then getting sent to Southern, that was a culture shock for me. I was never used to being at an all-black school, dealing with everybody that's black. And is that a good thing? I don't know. But during that time at Southern, I learned a lot about my culture, my race, who I am. But I also knew that this is not an all-black world. And I also knew this is not an all-white world and every other race. And so for me, in order for me to feel comfortable, I need to be around all races. Because I need everybody to know I am Ashley. I'm always going to be Ashley, but I'm going to try to accept you for who you are. But at the minimum, I'm going to give you the respect that I feel like I would want myself and give it to everybody else. If you don't like me, you can get out of my face, and that's perfectly fine. But if you do like me, then you're more than welcome to be in my world. And if I try to take that stance, because at the end of the day, I don't know who's receptive of me or not. But I know I try to be my best authentic self around everybody else.
Working in housing, did you see it one way or the other where certain cultures had a harder time transitioning into mixing with other cultures? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Typically, it's usually the typical black-white. that not as often. Typically, it's usually freshman year, and then it kind of mellows out because it's, you know what it is freshman students are bringing in knowledge and information from home. And so if that's all the information you have to really go about life, some of that stuff can be very judgmental and be very biased. And so that's where you really see it in that freshman year, because technically that's when everything is just like, whoa, what did I learn when I was at home compared to now? And why is this happening? Why is everything that I learned is getting torn down? It's not making sense. Part of it is because of the environment you were raised in. Part of it is because of your family. And so I challenge every incoming student, if you lived in a bubble, don't be intimidated to leave outside that bubble, because you just never know what you're going to learn.
Somebody's going to pop it for you.
That is true. And it can be the worst possible pop or the best pop ever. But it's up to you. Take charge of it. Like I said, if you know who you are, you can walk in confidence into a room no matter who they are. And they're going to come to you. They're going to love you for who you are. And at the end of the day, the color doesn't matter. It's really what's in the heart. So
you can build some beautiful lifelong friendships.
You can. You really can. So you guys, this is my longest video, but I wanted to make sure my girl was in, because I wanted you guys to know that for me, I want you guys to take that challenge on and to just open your eyes a little bit more. And if you're like, nope, it's not for me, that's perfectly fine. But don't say no without trying. That's my thing, because you just never know. You want to add anything before I wrap it up? Okay, Kim said no. So I guess I said it all. I really hope you guys enjoyed our video. I am not going to edit it. You're going to see all of it. But I really hope you like it. If you have questions about me and Kim's friendship, more about how we went about the year there at Augusta State.
White people.
Black people, and all of y'all. Don't hesitate to ask, okay? Like, share, subscribe. My email is in the description box. I hope you loved our banter, or whatever you want to call it. Thank you, Kim.
I want one of these. I love you.
I had the best time, you guys, this weekend with my girl, and I promise it will not be another 15 years.
It has not been 15 years since we've seen each other.
No,
it's been we've known each other.
10.
I don't know. I was thinking about that. But anyway, we'll talk about it later.
Yeah, we'll fix that.
But we still talked and kept in touch. We just weren't living together or even living in the same city or state.
That's true. So, this is my homegirl, Kim. I'm Ashley. Thank you for kicking it with us. We hope you guys have a great day. Enjoy yourself. Bye.